I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman from the Greensboro, North Carolina Fire Department History Book Committee. We're here today at the Greensboro Historical Museum. I'm standing in front of the General Green, the first steam pumper, or as they called it back then, the steamer. Today, December 9th, 2019, we are starting a new tradition of recording and preserving the heritage and culture of our retirees. Our retirees have contributed so much to the success of our great fire department. Their stories retire with them and are sometimes gone forever when they pass away. They will share their emergency calls that will always be a part of their memories forever. So sit back and listen as they carry us through their journey in the Greensboro Fire Department.
Mike Henley, 72 years old. I spent 32 and a half years on the fire department. I came on June 23rd, 1971, and I left the end, I think, of 2002. Yeah, I just came out of the Navy. It took me about 6 months before I got hired. And I remember I told Chief Osborne, I said, Chief, I need a job now. If you're going to hire me, my wife was expecting. And I said, you know, if I get my baby here and I won't be able to change jobs and start all over again. And I remember I was hired June the 23rd was a Wednesday. And I went out to the training center and helped the companies test hose for about 3 weeks. And I thought I was a firefighter at that time. Back then, you went down to Central Station and applied for the job. I think they gave you the forms, you filled them out, and everything was handled through the fire administration. You didn't go to city personnel. Later on, you got a letter saying yes or no and when to come. My training was, it was going to be about 8 weeks. We started with 6 people. After the first week, we had 4 people left in training. One of them quit and one of them got quitted during that first week. And the reason it was 4 weeks, the 4 of us that was finished was me, Charlie Reed, Chuck Smith, and Gary Watson. And I think Chuck had to go to National Guard training, so they just tightened everything up, and after 4 weeks they called it quits and we were sent out on the line. Okay, I think when I started my salary was $513 a month, big bucks at that time. I enjoyed training. Like I say, it was just 4 of us, so when we went in the smokehouse and we did hose drill, you didn't go over there and sit down and rest while the next crew did it. One drill you're on the nozzle, the next drill you're backing the man up, the next drill you're the second man. So it was constant, just one. And like if you were going to slide the rope, by the time you went out the window and got back up, it was your time to go out the window again. You know, so they said that they would never have another class that small because we didn't have hardly enough to do the drills. We actually had some companies when they were out there, they would help us do some of the drills, and most of y'all don't know if you remember, but we had a net that ropes that you jumped in, and it took, our class wasn't big enough to put the net up or take it down. We had to get help from other companies that came out there. I remember when we first started, we were supposed to bring a notebook in and study and write things down, and me and Chuck and Charlie Reed brought in spiral notebooks. And Gary Watson had a little pocket notebook about that big right there to take notes for his rookie training class. And Chief Kit didn't like that too much. It was a not just a job, but it was a good job, and I felt good about what we were doing and what I thought I was going to do with the fire department. I never thought about that I was going to leave the fire department. Probably the thought never crossed my mind. I got the job and I was going to stay at the job. I started at Station 11 with Captain J.E. McCarter. Lynn Murkison was the driver, and David Heath was the firefighter on the back of the truck with me. Really, probably, in my opinion, one of the best captains I could ever had and could have on the fire department. Captain Mack gave you all the confidence in the world. And another good point about that, when my brother Pat came on 15 years later, his first captain was Captain McCarter. I don't remember the prank, but I remember we were going on engine 2, which was old Orin, and we loaded hose 1.5 inches on the side of the truck in a long compartment. And I cannot quite remember who was driving, but it wasn't me. And that person turned the corner going down Lee Street, and I looked behind us, and we were dragging 150 foot of 1.5 inch hose down Lee Street. We had to stop and pick it up. Union was active, then it stopped being active, and then it started back up. I wasn't a very active union member, but I did join the union because I felt at times we needed someone to stand up for the firefighters. Sometimes the city, I don't think quite did us right. Close-knit group, from one company stations with only 3 other people besides you, which I was a couple of those, to I was at Central Station where we had 22 people on a shift. So you did things with 3 people and you did things with 20-some people, and that meant cooking for 4 people or cooking for 22 people. Cooking with just 3 or 4 potatoes to cooking 10 pounds of potatoes. So big difference in the kitchen and your activities, and even how you socialize at a station. Depends on how many companies are there. And biggest thing at a fire station is who you're with. I had one of the worst years out of 32 plus years at a station, and the next year at the same station the personnel changed. I stayed there, the personnel changed, and it turned out to be one of the best years I ever spent on the fire department, and I didn't even move. Fair. I was a fair cook. I fixed cube steak and gravy and mashed potatoes and green beans. Firefighter, I was in a dorm room all the time. Then when you became captain, you got your own room, or maybe shared it with another captain at some stations. So, I can't really speak to it. In my opinion, I think it would be nicer to have your own little cubicle or room, but you miss a whole lot of socialization and not staying in a dorm with 2, 3, 4, or 10 other people. I do. I think it's important for them to cook together. I think it's important for them to even socialize sometimes together, because you're not an individual firefighter, you're a team firefighter. You cannot do it by yourself. So I think it's very important that you cook and do things together, just to build up the camaraderie and the fellowship and the working together. Getting along and knowing each other. I think if you have a fellowship and brotherhood with each other, you know each other better, which is good and bad, but you know how to work together, sometimes without even saying anything, how to get a task done, just because you know each other and how each person works, and that makes you a better firefighter and a better company. You can walk into a fire station and tell them you're a firefighter, and they'll talk to you. They'll help you. They'll tell you just about anything you want, and we did, or I did that whenever one came into our station. So it's almost a safe place in a storm if you're in a storm and you're out of town. But I remember the first day I was at 11, we had 4 calls after midnight, and 2 of them were working fires, and I thought, is this the way it's going to be every day down here? I said, I'm not so sure this is what I signed up for, but it was good. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, we ran medical calls. I tell you a little funny story. When we first got squads, they were going to be the salvation of the fire department. And they were going to ask for medical calls. And the first day they went into service, in the morning, we got a medical call. I was at Station 4, and a gentleman was working on a car, and he had it, a shade tree mechanic, he had it pulled up on a chain on a tree, and the engine fell down. He was under it, and it caught him on the temple, just the bolt from the transmission. Well, when we got there, he was gone. So I turned the squad around, and this was the first call the squad had gotten. When I got back to the station, it looked like a Chiefs convention there. Well, know what I was doing, turning that squad around. They were supposed to go on everything, and I just said, we didn't need them, so I turned them around. Well, I was on the News and Records fire downtown on, I think it's Davie Street, and that was a pretty big fire. And then we had some construction material on the 20th floor of the Jefferson building one afternoon, and I was on that one, and just other fires, big causes, somebody gets hurt or somebody gets killed, you know. So Chief Osborne was a good chief and a good guy, and I thought he was a good, fair, and honest man. I always looked up to him. But Larry, there's many guys that you can look up to and admire and learn from on this fire department, whether you mention their name or not, you know. Well, the heartbreaking moments is if you have a fatality, and then especially if it's children. If it bothers you, you never forget it. Well, I did CPR on Glenn Johnson one night and brought him back with other guys. Glenn Johnson was climbing an aerial ladder, and we thought the power lines had been turned off by Duke Power, and the ladder got tangled up in the lines, and it electrocuted Glenn and stopped his heart. And when we got him back down, and like I say, there were several of us that did this, but Charlie Jones and I ended up doing the CPR, and we brought him back. And we met him, and he came back by the station, and that was a really good day right there. All firefighters deal with it differently. Some talk about it, some never talk about it. I experienced a lot when I was in the service, a lot more than most firemen can imagine. So I don't know if I handled it well, but I handled it the best way I could. No accidents. We didn't have any accidents. We had 2 suicides, I believe, during my career. It's terrible. It's terrible. You don't know why. You don't know why. No one knows why. Only person knows why is not with us anymore. And firefighters. And you just, you think about it and you wonder, but you don't have an answer. The military helped me prepare for the fire department in many, many, many ways. When I got out of the military, I was a supervisor, and then as I went through the ranks on the fire department, became a captain. Again, I was a supervisor, but I was a worker when I was in the military, and I started out as a worker firefighter on the fire department. So, yeah, it helped me in many, many aspects on the fire department. I think most of them now have an education, but to continue with your education at whatever level you are and work hard at it, work with your companies and the people that you're with. I'll tell you something, it's an old proverb for me, and it's one of the chiefs told me. It says, you'll never get rich on the fire department, but you'll never go hungry. And I stayed here 30-some years, and guess what? I didn't get rich, and I didn't go hungry, so he was right. He said they never missed a payday. And I was 30 more years and they never missed a payday. It's a good job, and it's what you make of it. It'll be the best job you'll ever have if you treat it right. Teamwork and education. That will help you with your career. It will help you with your fellow firefighters, and it'll help you throughout the department. Oh, sure. Especially with the medical calls. I'm not sure what the percentage is. 70% of the calls are medical calls now. And, that puts us out in the public, but they still think of us as firefighters. So, but we're also a lot of medical with us also. Well, we studied, and then also territory back then was very important. We didn't have computers when I came on. We didn't have but one radio on the truck and one radio in the station. Didn't have tops on the trucks, but I didn't have horses either, so that was one of the good things. I don't know, when we were down, in the evenings, each station did different things. Some pitched horseshoes, some played volleyball, some watched TV, some played ping pong. I think the young guys have changed. I honestly don't feel like they get along the way we did. There's the brotherhood that we had, and the friendship and fellowship that we had back then. On our days off, we did things together. Someone told me that they don't have a softball team anymore. Well, a softball team put 15, 20 people together, plus their wives and family and kids, and people just come watch you. You just can't get much better than getting all those people around and having a good time. I enjoyed the softball. Like I say, you got to meet and know different people on the fire department, because you didn't work with them all, but they were at different stations. But we had a really good time laughing with each other and cutting up and just making really good friends with each other. We went snow skiing together. We went water skiing together. There's some things you can't say that we did together, but we did have a good time. That's kind of funny. I really didn't get injured in the fire department while I was working, but since I've retired, I've had 2 knee replacements and torn both of my rotator cuffs. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good for an old guy. I think you just kind of wear them out. The job and just life in general, and especially if you're an active person. I don't have the words to say how much has changed. You know, like I say, we didn't have computers, we didn't have walkie-talkies, just, you know, all of the things that they have now. No, I do. I did like the fire department, and I still like the fire department. And you know, I'm glad I came to the fire department. It provided a good life and a good living, and it is now, even in retirement. Not wealthy, but able to provide and get along. I would advise the young guys to save as much as they can and have everything paid off the day you retire. Then with your pension, you will do okay.
We hope you enjoyed watching these documentaries. It was our goal to share and preserve the memories of our retired Greensboro firefighters. It is our desire that these documentaries will inspire future generations to continue the brotherhood, sisterhood, and camaraderie while always striving for excellence in their careers. While fire apparatus, equipment, and technology have improved, several things will always remain the same. The courage and bravery it takes to mitigate natural and man-made disasters will always be a part of the job. Although our retirees are no longer a physical part of the GFD world, a giant piece of each retiree's memories have been shared with you today. These memories will be in their hearts and minds forever. A special thank you goes out to Captain Harold Haney for his many long hours of recording and editing. Thank you, Harold. A job well done.